are rich people, there are famous people, and then there's Joe Rogan, a man who somehow became both by talking, thinking, and laughing his way into a financial empire. From his early days as a struggling comedian to hosting one of the most listened to podcasts in the world, Rogan has transformed himself into a one-man media machine. Along the way, he has accumulated a fortune estimated to be north of $200 million. And like many men with too much success and not enough modesty, he spent some of it in truly ridiculous ways. His tastes are as eclectic as his guests. Expensive cars, rare watches, lavish homes, a custom-built studio, and even cryogenic chambers. Joe Rogan doesn't just buy things. He invests in experiences, indulgences, and statements. And those statements, more often than not, come with jaw-dropping price tags. When Rogan left Los Angeles in 2020, he didn't just move, he upgraded. The comedian-turned-podcaster dropped an astonishing $14.4 million on a massive lakeside mansion in Austin, Texas. This wasn't just a new house. It was a declaration of independence from California taxes, Hollywood culture, and cramped real estate. The home sprawls across roughly 11,000 square feet with soaring ceilings, walls of glass that overlook Lake Austin, and every imaginable luxury. It sits on several acres of waterfront land, surrounded by thick trees for privacy and multiple docks for boating. Inside, it's more than just marble and glass. Rogan reportedly outfitted it with a high-tech gym, a sauna, a steam room, and even a sensory deprivation tank. The living spaces are so vast that guests have described it as feeling more like a modern resort than a private residence. That mansion might be the most expensive thing he owns, but it's far from his only indulgence. Rogan is notorious for his love of cars, and his collection looks like the wish list of a hyperactive 12-year-old who just discovered horsepower. Among his most prized possessions is a 1970 Barracuda, customized and tuned to perfection. Restoring and modifying such a classic muscle car can easily run past $150,000, but Rogan's version is believed to be worth closer to $250,000 thanks to the craftsmanship and detail put into every inch of it. He has described his Barracuda as one of the most perfect driving experiences he's ever had, which makes sense given that it's more art piece than automobile. Then there's his Porsche 911 GT3 RS, one of the most extreme performance cars available for the road. The GT3 RS starts at around $220,000, but Rogan's version, with custom upgrades and tuning, likely pushes the cost closer to $300,000. It's a machine built for precision and speed, the kind of car that can hit 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds and roar like an angry deity. For Rogan, it's not about showing off. He genuinely loves the engineering. He's talked about how the car feels alive, how it rewards skill and punishes carelessness, and that passion makes the ridiculous price tag seem, in his world, entirely justified. Of course, when you have Rogan-level money, one supercar isn't enough. He also owns a Tesla Model S, valued around $120,000, which he uses as his daily driver. He's a big fan of electric vehicles and often praises the instant torque and futuristic feel. Then there's his Ford Raptor, a high-performance off-road truck priced at about $80,000, which he uses for hunting trips and rugged adventures. He has even been spotted with a Chevrolet Corvette Stingray and a few classic muscle cars. Collectively, his car collection could easily be worth over $1 million. But Rogan's spending habits extend far beyond garages and asphalt. One of his proudest achievements, and certainly one of the most expensive, is his podcast studio, a facility so custom-built that it's practically a spaceship for conversations. His Austin studio, where the Joe Rogan Experience is now recorded, is estimated to have cost between $1 million and $2 million to design and build. The original version, unveiled after his move, had a distinctive red, tunnel-like interior that divided fans. But it was pure Rogan, experimental, bold, and unapologetically weird. He later redesigned it into a sleeker, more modern space, packed with cutting-edge microphones, cameras, lighting systems, and soundproofing technology. It's less a recording studio and more a cathedral for long-form talk, designed to make even the most skeptical guest feel at ease. Of course, every man with a fortune has his vices, and for Rogan, those come in the form of fitness and health gadgets that sound like something out of a science fiction film. He famously owns a cryo chamber for cold therapy, which costs around $75,000, and a float tank, also known as a sensory deprivation chamber, which runs close to $30,000. He has described using the float tank regularly to relax, meditate, and reset his mind. A practice that might sound absurdly indulgent until you remember that Rogan built his entire brand around optimizing body and mind. He's also known to have invested heavily in workout equipment with a private gym that rivals professional training facilities. Some estimates place the value of his gym at over $100,000, filled with everything from kettlebells to advanced resistance machines and recovery gear. Rogan's love of luxury extends to his watch collection too. He's been spotted wearing a Rolex Deep Sea Sea Dweller, which costs around $15,000, and an Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, worth about $7,000. But he also owns rarer pieces like the Panerai Luminor Submersible, typically priced around $12,000, and a few limited edition watches that push past $20,000. For a man who spends most of his time in a t-shirt and jeans, Rogan's watches are a subtle reminder that wealth doesn't always have to shout. Sometimes it just ticks quietly. Another indulgence that verges on the absurd is his collection of firearms and hunting gear. Rogan is a passionate hunter and outdoorsman, and his arsenal is both extensive and expensive. Custom rifles can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 each, and Rogan owns several high-end models built for precision and long-range accuracy. Add in thermal scopes, bows, and other equipment, and the total could easily reach six figures. His hunting trips often involve private guides, specialized travel, and luxury accommodations, experiences that can cost tens of thousands per trip. But perhaps the most symbolically extravagant thing Rogan ever bought wasn't an object at all. It was freedom. When he signed his exclusive deal with Spotify in 2020, valued at $100 million, he effectively purchased his independence from traditional media. It was less a contract than a golden parachute, allowing him to say whatever he wants, however he wants, without worrying about advertisers or networks. That deal also bankrolled his move to Texas, the mansion, the new studio, and the lifestyle that comes with being the most powerful voice in podcasting. In a sense, it was the most expensive thing he ever acquired, even if it didn't come with a receipt. Still, Rogan's extravagance is rarely about superficial flash. His spending often reflects his personality: curious, obsessive, and experimental. Whether it's buying cutting-edge fitness technology, investing in his podcast infrastructure, or surrounding himself with tools that let him explore consciousness and health, his purchases tell a story about a man trying to perfect his environment. Sure, spending $14 million on a house and hundreds of thousands on cars might seem insane, but to Rogan, it's just a byproduct of doing what he loves and succeeding at it on a scale few people ever will. Even his art collection, though less publicized, hints at an appreciation for rarity and meaning. He's known to collect artwork that resonates with his interests in psychedelics, science, and human evolution. Some of these pieces from contemporary artists and limited prints can run into the tens of thousands of dollars each. For someone whose worldview blends the primal and the futuristic, his walls are canvases of chaos and clarity, expensive reminders of the inner worlds he explores both on and off the mic. And then there's the little stuff that adds up: his custom archery setup, his specialized supplements, and even his obsession with high-end meat and coffee. Rogan has publicly discussed spending thousands on elk meat, wild game freezers, and premium coffee setups that could put small cafes to shame. His dedication to clean eating isn't cheap. It's a reflection of a man who treats his body like a Formula One car and funds it accordingly. When you step back and look at the big picture, Joe Rogan's spending seems both ridiculous and somehow fitting. Here's a man who has built a life around exploring ideas and pushing boundaries, and his possessions mirror that energy: a $14 million mansion on a Texas lake, a fleet of supercars that roar with personality, a $1 million podcast studio designed to make conversations sound immortal, cryo chambers, float tanks, custom rifles, and rare watches. All of it paints a picture of someone who isn't just rich, but relentlessly curious about what money can buy when used to amplify curiosity itself. In the end, the stupidly expensive things Joe Rogan owns aren't just flexes of wealth. They're symbols of the strange intersection between art, science, and indulgence that defines his world. Every car, every gadget, every unnecessary luxury is an extension of the same restless spirit that made him successful in the first place. For most people, spending millions on homes and toys might seem excessive. For Rogan, it's just another way to live a life that's as unapologetically loud, fast, and fascinating as the conversations he's known for.